Back here with Coach Mangini, we're talking Cowboys. Their star running back Ezekiel Elliott still waiting for his new deal. Haven't heard much from Zeke of late, but yesterday an article came out from an interview back in July before his holdout began, where he said this: "I love playing for the Dallas Cowboys. I love the organization, my teammates. I do want to be a Cowboy for the rest of my life. And hopefully that's a possibility." But even Emmitt Smith, the greatest running back ever, ended up going to play a couple of years for another organization. So it's just the nature of the game. But I want to be a Dallas Cowboy for as long as I can. Coach, you believe Zeke still feels this way more than a month after making those comments?
Yeah, but it's I want to be a Dallas Cowboy, asterisk, 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 as long as I'm the highest paid running back in the NFL. I mean, that's all it is. Otherwise, I'll be a San Francisco 49er, or I'll be a, whoever is willing to pay me. That's where I'll go. And he puts himself in very high company with referencing Emmitt Smith, and he feels like he should be treated a certain way, and that's merited. And if that all happens year after year after year, he'll be a Dallas Cowboy. Otherwise, he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, of course, just like any other player. As far as trying to start and finish your career, it's just not a reality that 99% of the players in the league are going to experience. Tom Brady is fighting everything that he can, and he's the greatest that's ever done it. So we should know it's a new NFL. It's new in sports. To think that the team that your hero plays for is going to be the one and only team that he plays for. No, it's not. That's yesteryear. Our friend Derek Jeter, I saw him, last month in Philly. No, we're not going to have athletes like that. It's going to get rarer and rarer, and especially when you come in as one of the top paid, when you're a top 5 pick, and then now you're trying to reset the market, eventually they can't afford you. When you have salaries like that, ultimately it's your skill, but also it's a part with the salary.
Well, and Clay Matthews had some interesting comments this week. Clay Matthews, I think a lot of people just associate him with the Green Bay Packers. Maybe people are surprised when they see, oh, he's a Los Angeles Ram now. And he talked about how he thought he was going to stay with the Packers, offered to take a pay cut. Even when his agent got an offer from the Rams, he had his agent go back to Green Bay and say, hey, here's what the Rams are paying me. Not that much. You guys want to match it? And they said, no, we're good. Thanks, Clay. We appreciate it. He didn't do anything wrong. They had decided to move on. So I take your point very well that it is rare in the NFL, if you have a long career, that you can do it with only one team. Usually, especially if you're not a quarterback. Quarterbacks are typically able to do that if they're high achievers. Or almost any other position, it is rare that you have one guy stay with the team his whole career. But I do believe that Zeke wants to. I do believe Zeke understands, at least for the rest of this part of my prime, it's going to be hard to find a team with a better offensive line. As long as Jerry Jones is the owner of the Cowboys, it's going to be hard to find a team with a more supportive owner. No matter where I go, it's going to be hard to find a team with a better brand, more ability for me to make money off the field. And there's not going to be many, if any, teams that are more intent on trying to put out a championship-level team each and every season. And he knows there's not going to be any ownership change in Dallas. It might transition from Jerry to Steven, but that team's not getting sold. You're not going to have to deal with something like that. So, of course, he'd want to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think he believes if he gets the extension that Coach is talking about, that would take him through year 9. You're talking about a 4-year extension when he's already got 2 years left on his contract. He's played 3 years. So how long will a running back in today's NFL, especially a running back who would have gotten market-setting deals twice, once as the top 5 pick, once the deal he wants now, how much past year 9 realistically would he play? So for all parties, I think it's best that Zeke plays with the Cowboys as long as possible. I think for him on and off the field, and obviously for the Cowboys to have any realistic shot this season at winning that division over Philadelphia, they have to have Ezekiel Elliott for a minimum of 14 games, if not the full 16.
I remember when I went to visit my brother in his office when he had one of his early jobs, and his name tag was screwed in to the wall. And then when I got my first NFL job, or my first office in the NFL, mine was one that slid in and out. And that's the reality. All the lockers have name tags that slide in and out, and that's just what you sign up for when you get in the NFL. And your point about the ownership and the cachet of the Cowboys, I think that's part of Zeke's consideration, but it's really just going to come down to who will pay me the most money. And the idea that this is going to take him through the end of his career, contracts aren't like that for players either anymore. That dynamic is changing. The 4-year contract has become a 2-year contract because, you know, once you get past that year 2, the market's been reset so much that really good players are saying, well, wait a second, I'm not playing for this. And that signing bonus you paid me, well, that doesn't really matter. That was just that was play money that you gave me initially. This is what I'm earning this year.
And NFL owners are just like any other business owners, operators. How can I get the same kind of labor, or maybe I'll take a little bit less for cheap?
A lot less money.
So ultimately, you're an 8-9-year veteran, and your salary has reached a certain point. How can I replace some of that productivity, even when they just start making up stuff? James Conner, Jalen Samuel, they replaced the productivity in Pittsburgh. Yeah, but it was about the money. That's all it was about, not that they weren't happy with the player. So it becomes tougher and tougher, even with the salaries, the way they are increasing to build stay with the team longer.
But Zeke has to be confident in his holdout, knowing who the Cowboys have in his place. I mean, the Cowboys aren't going to, how successful can they be with a combination of Pollard and Morris taking them with Dak Prescott as far as they can?
Yeah, that's one part of the equation, but you also need to know who you're getting into a fight with. And when you get into a fight with a guy like Jerry Jones has, he's not going to be pushed around. He's not going to be put in a situation where he looks badly or the organization has to compromise long into the future.
At the expense of losing games?
Look, sometimes you got to take a stand. And it's not just for this deal. It's for all the deals that are going to happen moving forward, because once you open that door, then everybody follows that game plan until you show that you can stop what they're doing.
Real quick, something Chris said the last couple days is that even if Zeke gets a deal done before the first game of the season, there's a point in next week where it would be too late for him to play week 1. I'm curious if you agree with that. Chris has said he thinks around Tuesday. If it's not done by a week before today, if he were to sign, for example, Thursday night before the game Sunday, that it'd be very difficult to get him in there in the week 1 game plan.
Well, I would imagine they could get him caught up mentally. It's physically, when you put a guy in a position to perform at the level he's going to have to perform at with that intensity in week 1 when he hasn't had any exposure. Could you put him in the game? Yeah. Now, what type of risk are you taking for him to pull something, then you lose him? And Chris would have a much better understanding of that from a physical perspective. You're taking a real chance organizationally. All
right, we got to take a break. Coach, see you a little bit later. Coming up, Aaron Rodgers chiming in on Andrew Luck's sudden retirement. Next on First Things First.
Coach, sometimes I talk football in the morning to our staff, and especially Nick.